We have broken the Michael Strahan curse.
You know what it means when you bring in a Buckeye to
Yes, sir.
the
You get this victory, you wipe your tears, and then you get that bag, and you let them go right there, baby. Yes.
Commanders family, we have a special show for you today as always. The squad went up to the Big Apple and came home with a season sweep of the New York Giants. We've got the highlights and reaction from the win that sent us to 7-2. Then we'll peek in on the rest of the NFC East to see what our guys think of the current state of the division. And I gotta ask, how about them Cowboys? And we go in depth to preview our next matchup this Sunday back at Northwest Stadium against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Get hyped, Commanders family, because it all starts now. Commanders family, before we do anything else, we start the show with a big news alert. The Commanders made a move before Tuesday's trade deadline to bring in all-pro cornerback Marshon Lattimore from the New Orleans Saints. Lattimore was a first-round pick in 2017 and won Defensive Rookie of the Year honors that season. He is under contract through the end of 2026, so we'll get at least a couple more years of his services here in Washington. Now here's a look at the details of the trade. The Commanders are getting Lattimore and a 5th-round pick from the Saints in exchange for a 3rd-rounder, a 4th-rounder, and a 6th-round pick. And Commanders family, when you bring in a star defensive back, we got to bring in a star defensive back to the studio. Welcoming my boy, Sean Springs. Sean.
What's up, brother?
Not only is he a defensive back, much like yourself, but he's also an Ohio State alum. How good are you feeling right now?
Hey, I'm feeling great, brother. You know what it means when you bring in a Buckeye to the system. You know, and I'm just really excited that when we get a high-level performer like Lattimore, man, I mean, he gives you the ability to go one-on-ones, play zone, he makes plays, he's competitive. Oh, man, he's perfect for a Joe Witt system. He's perfect.
How do you see an addition like this to a Joe Witt system working out? You know, we have Benjamin St. Juste, we have Mike Sanderson, we have these guys that are already there and they've been holding their own. How does he fit into that?
Well, I think he's a veteran. Obviously, those guys are very good players and obviously first-round picks. This guy has been, for the last, 6 years, covering the best receivers in the league. Been in the conference with guys like Mike Evans, so we know he competes. Yeah. He shows up week in and week out. He's durable, and he makes plays. He's a Pro Bowler. He's an all-pro corner. And what I think he will bring is this another person who can level up the attitude. Because when you get a number one corner like that, everybody knows the difference when he steps in on the field and he's part of the team because they have confidence that he can show up and play the best receiver, right? So that's what's going to happen.
Now, when you see a team that's 7-2, and you see your ownership go and make a move like this before the trade deadline, bring in that lockdown corner. When you see something like that, what does that mean about the outlook of this team in its future?
That's a big statement. It means that we believe we can do some damage in the playoffs. That means we know that when we go into the playoffs or late in the year when we got to play teams like Philly who have 2 dynamic receivers or 3 dynamic receivers, when we play the Detroit Lions who have a great receiving core, or maybe the Minnesota Vikings with somebody like Jefferson, we now have a DB that we feel can lock up on some of the better receivers late in the year when time is needed. We can give us the flexibility to go one-on-one, and it means that we believe we have a chance to really go far in the playoffs.
And much like Lattimore, you were brought in to help this team win games, man. You remember what it was like coming here and getting that welcome from this Washington fan base, man. How much does getting Lattimore mean to this fan base?
Oh, he's going to love it. I think the fans going to love it. I think a lot of people may not know who he is because obviously he was in New Orleans and they haven't been winning. But now on a national stage, a guy who's been doing it week in and week out, the fans are going to love it. He's going to get a fresh start. He's going to love being here in Washington, and I think it's going to be a great thing for everybody.
And Sean, if they don't know who he is, they are going to know who he is very, very soon. Very happy to have our new defensive back, and he's a Buckeye.
A Buckeye.
Extra protection here on the sides with chips.
McLaurin, top of your screen. Looking that way, the throw. Terry McLaurin has his 2nd touchdown catch of the day with a head shaker against Deontay Banks. What a dagger from the Commanders. 6 seconds before the half.
Commanders family, welcome into Command Center. I'm your host, Brian Cooper Jr. here with Fred Smoot, Santana Moss, and Logan Paulson. And fellas, we are 7-2 for the first time Since 1996. I was 4 years old, fellas. I was 4 years old.
Way to rub it in.
How are y'all feeling after that big win on the road?
Well, at the end of the day, I can say this. I had nightmares of Michael Strahan. It was called a Michael Strahan curse for a long time.
I love how you say Strahan.
Because we couldn't
Get out of here. What are you talking about?
couldn't beat the Giants, and we sure couldn't beat them twice in 1 year. And I told you this was the year of breaking all curses. So I can say right now, very confidently, we have broken the Michael Strahan curse. I don't have to wake up out of a dream and see, them tusks looking at me like that. It's over with. I feel good about it.
You know Fred full of crap because we beat him twice. Both years they went Super Bowl, we beat him twice. So, I mean, he's full of crap. But at the same time, I feel great. I feel great just knowing that this staff has come in here and, like Coach said, recalibrated this team. Basically got these guys, some of the guys that they kept to know that, hey, man, whatever happened in the past, it's in the past. We're going to do what we're doing now. And the thing that stands out to me the most about this team is it's all about them. It's not about who they facing. It's about them going out there executing what these guys designed, and they should get the job done. That's what we've been seeing. I mean, we've been seeing when they execute at a high level, they come out victorious.
Yeah, I mean, there's the voodoo, there's the touchy-feely stuff. There's also like the tactical stuff, right? Yeah. And Tim talks about this all the time. The coaches on the staff have gotten these guys better. Yeah. The defense is playing better. They know their leverages. They know how to rush together. You look at the offense, the way the attention to detail is so much higher. Look at how they handle the red zone. Look how they handle the 2-minute situations. This is a well-coached, well-executed football team that's going to keep getting better each week because that's the type of players they brought in and that's the type of coaching staff they have.
And look, you mentioned how we keep getting better. This is the first time we've seen a team twice this season. How did we look different Sunday as opposed to that Week 2 matchup when we played the Giants the first time?
Well, I think the first thing that jumped out was the red zone efficiency, specifically in the first half. The ability to score touchdowns and not field goals. And obviously that slowed down a little bit in the second half, but I think that was a huge thing, right? I think also just, again, I go back to the situational awareness in the 2-minute situation, right? For him to get that ball out with 11 seconds left, the Terry McLaurin back shoulder, and understanding that we're in field goal range, just the process there, you can just tell they're really well coached. They're maturing each and every week. And again, it's not like when you watch the film of that first game against the Giants, it's almost not the same team. Because of the confidence that they're playing with on both sides of the football.
Yeah, fellas, when you get a win like that, you know how we do. We got some highlights for you. Fred, we got 5 of them things. Let's see them. It's time for Top 5, presented by UA Local 5 Plumbers, protecting the health of the nation's capital since 1890. And our first one is Austin Eckler with the big catch and run on 3rd and 9, because the situation really matters here, fellas.
Yeah, most definitely. This is why you bring him in here. He's a guy that can keep going down here. I call him Mighty Mouse because he just gets stronger as the game goes on.
And this is just a check down. I mean, this isn't actually the route. Just the way it distributes, the patience by Jaden Daniels. Excellent job, excellent play by Austin.
A big game by Austin Eckler. Another big game by Jaden Daniels and his receivers. This one is to Zacchaeus. What a beautiful play and run by OZ.
That's right. It was in the second half. We was all saying, take it all away or get out of bounds. But this is one of those plays right there that late in that game that we wanted to just get the ball as close as we can and either get a field goal or just run the clock out, trying to get a first down.
It's so funny how all of these guys picked a spot in this game to make clutch plays.
Yeah.
This play was clutch in the 4th, but the other guys made them in the 3rd and in the 2nd. Everybody picked their spots.
Talk about situational football. This is a 4-minute drive right before the 2-minute.
Yeah.
You know the clock's going to stop at the 2-minute. We get this pass play off with no ill percussions. Great job by Cliff. Great job by OZ.
Knowing that the clock gonna stop regardless.
100%.
Completion or incompletion.
And Tanner, what is always the key to victory? Winning the turnover battle, and we did just that with this Dante Fowler strip sack.
Let me tell you,
which caused a turnover.
Hey, one thing we got to do, man. These refs are not on our side. so I want to make a service. Hey, one of those messages that say, "Hey, man, look, make sure that when we out there, we play to the end of the whistle. Play beyond the whistle because they're trying to get you the ball. We're trying to pick up the ball. They trying to tell us that we didn't do what we do. Man, I'm so happy that we had Bobby there. Bobby made sure that he got the ball and picked it up. They should have gave him a touchdown.
Yeah. I'm so proud of Fowler because he picked the perfect year to start to peak in his career. And that's why I say a player is only good as his coordinator. Yeah. He found the coordinator that he thrives under, and he's thriving in these conditions. This is what they looked at from him when they picked him top 5 in the draft that he went in.
And I know Terry feels like he is thriving under our offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury. Only 2 catches with Tanner. When you make them 2 touchdowns, you don't need much more than that.
Man, I'm so happy for Terry, but look at this throw right here. Man, this is the best place to put it at. You come in one of those bang slants. one of those now routes. And I'm not going to put it high where you have to stop and that guy run through your back. I'm going to put it down below so you can go down there and get
Cradle.
it. He's the only guy that can catch that ball.
And that was the first touchdown for Terry McLaurin. Now, for the second touchdown, his second catch of the game. This one was crazy.
This right here, you showing off, man. You showing, hey, JD5, you're showing off, man. Throws like this show you this kid has whatever he wants to do with that. He know how to pull a string on that thing. He can put it on a rope. He does what he wants to do with that ball.
And Fred, how great was it to see it to go against a guy that was talking so much trash last season? Terry has something to say to him after this.
Hey, tell him Washington remembers. We remember when you say these things to us, and we're going to take it out. Terry don't forget nothing. Terry got a list right now. He's going down this list right now. And he's saying, you know what? You remember when you played me and I ain't had this guy? Now you got to see what I can really do. Banks, take that.
And it's easier to talk trash when you have your quarterback and when you're number one in your division. Let's take a look at these NFC East standings. 7-2 for our Commanders. And as we said to start the show, we haven't been 7-2 since 1996, fellas. You see the Eagles in second and the Cowboys with just 3 wins. We love that. And then the Giants hanging on for dear life, 2 for 7. Fred, how good is it to see our Commanders number one, baby?
First of all, it feels great. And it's one of these things in the NFC East for the last 25 years. Nobody has won it back to back. So it's set up for us to win this thing and take the lead. Now, the thing about it is the Eagles are right on our tail and they're going to be there. But guess what? We love a good fight with Philadelphia.
It ain't easy being the king. You know? There you go. Everybody gunning for you. So I think one of the things that I love about just where we are in our position, we done took down the Giants twice. So we're 2-1 on our division. You can ride that wave. You can ride. I'm sure the coaching staff telling these guys like, hey, we have everything we do is our destiny. We have everything in our hands. We can control our destiny. And one of the things you got to look at too, man, you got to see the Cowboys twice. You got to see the Eagles twice. Now, I think the real thing is going to be when we face the Eagles the first time. That's when it's going to be all the marbles and everything else you got in your pocket. It's going to be all on the table. Because we got to make sure that we go out there and dominate that first game and show them that y'all ain't going to be able to run this race with us.
And I think the thing that makes me confident is like we're talking about down the road, but one thing when you talk to Dan, when you talk to anybody on this team, they're focused on the next week. Right?
The next 4
and so I think that's what makes this team dangerous because we know guys like it is hard each week to win a game, and it's so easy to look past somebody. But I'm really, really confident this staff won't let that happen. You know, so each one, let's get it done, and hopefully by the end of this thing, we're still on the leaderboard, top leaderboard.
Week by week, Logan. So let's put our focus towards Sunday's matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are coming off of a bye week. Their last game was a win over the Giants on Monday Night Football, the second consecutive win for quarterback Russell Wilson. Head coach Dan Quinn knows what a challenge Russ and this offense present.
And the thing that when I think about Russ, the first thing that pops to my mind is this is a remarkable deep ball thrower. And it's what he has absolutely earned and been known for down inside and outside the pocket, where he's got the ability to be able to throw on the run, 50, 60 yards down the field to a spot that only, his receiver can get to it, or off a big play pass. So that, to me, is what, sets him apart, is he's got a, strong arm, big hands. He can absolutely rip it, but it's the downfield big shot plays. When those explosive plays happen, those are game changers. And that's what I think Russ's superpower is. Like, deep ball accuracy is not everybody has that.
For years, ever since, Mike Tomlin was there, he's a hell of a coach. Obviously, he doesn't have a losing record for a reason. So he's going to have his guys ready to play. They play hard. They know their scheme. And they have some really good players. Obviously, you got T.J. Watt, Patrick Queen, guys like that, Minka Fitzpatrick. But overall, the whole defense, they play together. They have good continuity, and, it's going to be a good challenge for us.
Now let's take a look at these two teams' season averages. You see the Commanders lead in pretty much every statistical category on the offensive side. However, the Steelers' defense is extremely stingy. Fellas, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers who will be back at home. And this team, they are rolling. They found their quarterback. They are rolling. What challenges does a team like this pose for us, Tanner?
I think one of the things I look at is just their defense alone. I think T.J. Watt and crew are one of those groups. They know how to get the ball back. I think they're second in the league in turnovers. I believe they got 10 picks and 5. They forced 5 fumbles. So if we can hold on to the ball and slow down T.J., because he's the one that started everything. He disrupts things up front. And those guys in the back chopping at the bits, playing tight and sticky. So we have to be mindful that they're trying to get the ball back.
First of all, this team wins in all three phases. Danny Smith has the special teams, one of the top in the league. I think it's us and them, or either them and us, as the top two special teams in the league. Then you got to look at their offense. Their offense is now pushing the ball down the field because Rush didn't start cooking. I got to give him his props. All right, and it has taken that safety out of the box, and it's allowed Najee Harris to run the ball downhill and pushing the ball down the field with George Pickens. And when you talk about these guys on defense, one of the best defenses in the game. They got stars on each level, from Hayward on the front and T.J. Watt rushing the passer to a group of linebackers that know how to get the job done with Queen. And you got to realize Mika Fitzpatrick and Joey Porter back there in the defensive backfield. This is going to be a heavyweight fight. And in a heavyweight fight, both people get black eyes.
No doubt, but I do think it's interesting because like styles make fights, and so when I look at the defense, they really want to stop the run. And for all the good stuff Jaden Daniels has done, the one thing Cliff's kind of been consistent with is running the football. So when we can't run the football, what does this offense look like? And when's Jaden Daniels got to carry that load? And I think we saw a little bit of that, what it looked like versus Baltimore. It's hard. It's hard for this offense to be successful. So how do we find consistency in that area when that is their thing? That's how they identify themselves. And then they want to run the football. You know, Fred mentioned Najee Harris, and again, like this defense is much improved, significantly better than it was, you know, from week 1 to now in terms of matchups, how they play coverage, how they play the run, but they still have a hard time stopping the run. So when a team is going to stop what you do well offensively and do what you do poorly defensively, I think that's going to be a really interesting matchup, and the coaches really got to get in their bag this week.
And Logan, you mentioned Harris, so let's stick on him. His last 3 games, over 100 yards rushing. That boy is back. How can we try to slow him down Sunday?
Yeah, I think the thing for me is just like how do you normally stop the run, and that's you play a numbers game, right? Instead of playing these cover 2 structures, which have been very successful for us, let's get Jeremy Chin down in the box. Let's bring some run stunts. And again, Joe Wood Jr. dabbles in that, and I think, and like Fred said, this is where it gets really challenging because Russell Wilson is pushing the football down the field more. So you do have to be aware of the passing game, unlike when Fields was starting. So it's going to be an interesting conundrum, I think, and it comes down to I think Joe Wood Jr. kind of saying, hey, we got to kind of pick our battles. It's first down. Let's commit 8 to the box, and then we're going to play our softer structures. And when you play good offenses like this, or offenses that can do multiple things, it becomes really challenging.
Now, here's the thing also. Since Russ has been in there, they played ahead of the chains. Like, they haven't played a team that gets out fast like our team.
That's a great point.
Think about if our team scores early and we force them to play our way, because we've been dictating teams, you have to play our way. Now they make them one-dimensional. What they want to do is hand the ball off to Najee. Well, you won't be able to do that if you're down 10, if you're down 14. So I think it's how we start the game gives us a chance to end the game in the right direction. But if you want to go blow to blow with a team like this, it's going to be hard. I can get our offensive line, a.k.a. the Piglets, have been getting the job done.
Doing a great job.
This is going to be their biggest challenge as far as a group of pass rushers.
And Tanner, one thing we have found success in for our offense is the rushing game with the Steelers. I think number 4 in the league against the rush. How can we get it going, especially if we're down a man like B-Rob once again?
Well, we've been balanced for them. I mean, and you know, with them being great in stopping the run, we have to go to the air sometime. We're going to have to find ways to get our screen game active. I think that's one of the things that I love that Cliff does well. He finds a way to I guess you can say, have all that in his bag to where he can say, all right, you know, if I can't just stuff it in my guy's belly, I can find a way to still get a short pass out there to it and replace that as a run. I think we're going to get to our run regardless. I mean, we played teams that was great in the run, stopping the run, and still found our way. But the most important thing for us is to make sure we find our balanced attack, which we pass the ball well, and this team is susceptible to the pass. They're giving up at least 200-something plus in the passing game. So we have to make sure that we get our stuff going that way. And I think we can go back to the run.
Yeah, the Giants had over 130 yards rushing, and a lot of it was formation driven, right? They didn't get in big formation. They didn't say, oh, bring tight ends in, bring fullbacks in. Just bring receivers in and spread them out. They had a really beautiful formation, 3 receivers to the left, and they had to walk linebackers out to cover those guys, and they were hit those tight zone wandas for big explosive plays. So I think Cliff's got something in his back.
I know this is going to sound crazy. I think we got to attack their best player on defense, which is T.J. Watt. When I say run on him, run at him with that power game on first and second. All right, force him to slow down his pass rush on third. Screen at him. Make him run side to side. I don't think this is a guy you run away from. I think this is a guy you run to and say, let's make this happen. Tire him out.
And Logan, as this offense has progressed, we have seen Jaden Daniels progress each and every game. How can he take another step against a very stingy Steelers defense?
I mean, it's hard to imagine, man. Every week he just seems to answer the questions that are given to him. And I look back at the Giants game, some of those throws he's making that are NFL open throws, he's throwing them because excuse me, the linebacker's got his back to the receiver.
Yeah.
And he's fitting in tight windows. So I think you're going to see a little bit more man this week. I think you're going to have some tighter window throws. You're going to have to trust your guys to win in one-on-one situations. But he just keeps answering the bell, whatever the defense presents. So I fully expect him to have an awesome game.
Now, fellas, Big Fletch is out on the field waiting for me. So when I take off, I need y'all to handle these game day details. Y'all got it?
We got you. And here goes your Commander game day schedule. Kickoff 1 p.m. Northwest Stadium on CBS.
And we got the radio broadcast on Big 100. Fletch, Bram, and I bring you the best in-game content we can.
And don't forget, Command Center coverage, Game Day Live at 12 p.m., post-game line immediately after the game. It's time for the best seat in the house, presented by SeatGeek, the most disruptive idea in ticketing. A ticket that works. Expect the expected. SeatGeek. BC, Big Fletch, it's your show now.
On the practice field here with Big Fletch. So you know what time it is. It's time for another field pass. And Fletch, you got to be feeling good, baby, because you got another Ohio native, a Cleveland native, back in the building. How you feeling?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So when I saw that the trade for Marshon Lattimore was going down, first thing I thought about, man, I know about where he comes from in the inner city of Cleveland. I know his high school principal, know who he played for in high school. Obviously, the Ohio State connection. We got a certified dog coming to the team. I was excited and thrilled.
Gotta love having a certified dog here. And you see right now, the guys are warming up now. Lattimore is not out here practicing today. He is not warming up. They're going to take his time with him. However, there's a lot to be excited about. And of course, nobody better to talk about it than you, London, because again, you have ties to the kid. What does he bring to this team, and why was it so important to go get a guy like that?
Well, he brings a tremendous amount of skill set. The talent is there, obviously being a 4-time Pro Bowler, the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's been an alpha dog. He's had to cover number one receiver since he's coming to the National Football League. If you look at our team where we at being 7-2, I know AP and DQ were thinking about, hey, this is just not just about, right now, but moving down looking forward in terms of, can we make a run in the playoffs if you're going to go against the Eagles, if you're going to go against the Detroit Lions and some of the teams that, maybe potentially the San Francisco 49ers, and having to deal with the Eagles a couple times this year and the Cowboys as well. They got receivers. If we got a guy that we can truly say, hey, we're going to put him on there, number one guy, don't have to worry about him as much. Maybe we can roll coverage to another guy and really allows you to play a little bit more 8-man fronts, 8-man boxes. It may even help adding a corner like him even will help our run defense.
Because you're adding a corner that's coming into a secondary that's actually shown a ton of improvement. We've gone up against some really tough receivers, but when you can get a lockdown guy, you go get a lockdown guy. How do you see him fitting in with what we already have going here in Washington?
Yeah, I've seen him being as a great fit because of, first and foremost, you have to look at the history of Joe Witt Jr. and also Dan Quinn. They've always excelled at coaching defensive backs. So they'll get him in here, get him up to speed, learn our technique and the way our style of play. But what it does now, you have 4 guys, including, now you move Benjamin St. Juste, maybe you move him outside, maybe you move Mikey Sainristil back to the nickel. And Noah Igbenogany had been playing some really good football. You can mix and match how you want to do some different things. Maybe at some point it's Igbenogany, Sainristil, and all 4 of these guys on the field, Lattimore and BSJ. So just brings flexibility to your defensive backfield.
And I think you put up a great point because we've seen Mikey. He started in nickel, but then they moved him to the outside, and he has excelled. He has looked very, very good on the outside. Are you nervous about moving him back inside when you have a guy that's so young already and say, you know what, let's just keep him outside and stick to what's been working?
No, I'm not nervous at all because it's not like he already had experience being inside and, during the whole off season, leading up to the preseason, leading up to the regular season. He had trained as a nickel corner. So his skill set, his maturity, he'll if they decide to move him back to the slot, he'll be fine. He's a heck of a football player.
And London, I mean, you've been in this kind of positions before where you see different free agents come in, especially within the middle of the season. What do you expect to see from him on Sunday on game day? Do you think they let him fly and let him get up in there? Or do you take your time because you already have a secondary that's playing pretty well?
Well, first and foremost, I know he had a hamstring. He missed last week's game. You want to make sure he's 100% healthy before you put him out on the field. And just because you made the trade, you you don't rush that. And I know they're not going to rush that process. You want him to be 100% so he's able to go out there, play his game, not be hesitant, not be, worried about not being able to go 100%. So he's not gonna go on the field until they feel completely ready for him to play. And it's not just a situation where, all right, we got the Steelers this week and we got the Eagles next Thursday. Let's hurry up and get him out there. No, this is a long season, still a lot more games left to be played. They'll put him out there when he's absolutely ready to go on that field and perform at a high level.
A great problem to have. You can take your time when you already have guys doing the job at a high level. Big Fletch, man, always a pleasure hanging out with you, my brother. Now I got to get back to the studio. Brothers, back to y'all. If you want to hear more from Big Fletch, and who doesn't, you can hear him on a couple of our Commanders podcasts on Big 100 here in the DMV. Booth Review is the podcast he co-hosts with Bram Weinstein on Mondays. And you can catch him holding it down with Santana Moss and Sean Springs on the Players Club every Thursday. Fresh shows 6 days a week for you on Big 100 and wherever you get your podcasts. It's time for your can't miss moment, presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official partner of the Washington Commanders. You don't want to miss being at the game this Sunday at Northwest Stadium. We know Steelers fans travel well, but I think they're going to be in for a surprise when they see how many of our fans show up and show out to cheer on our Commanders. And we've got some pretty slick gate giveaways on Sunday. My guy B-Mitch called the shot on Post Game Live after the win over the Giants. Let's check it out.
What you need to see from our fans that last home game as we
Well,
wrap?
I need whoever the powers that be, I need you all to give burgundy towels to every fan coming into the stadium, because we know the Steelers gonna come with their yellow. We're gonna mix it together. It's gonna be burgundy and go all over our damn thing. That's gonna look good on TV.
Fellas, y'all heard B-Mitch's call to action, which means we gotta do some fan giveaways. Now, Tanner's pointing at Fred because Fred tried to attack him.
I don't know. I heard you say it first, but he said he was the man behind the idea.
B-Mitch, you wrong, but you're right.
All right. Whatever idea was, we have some fan giveaways for you all. First, Salute to Service has these hats. Tanny got to get you one of these add to collection. But most importantly, we heard what B-Mitch and Fred had to say.
Yeah.
And we came with it.
We got it.
We got the towels here. These will be given away. There's a limited supply, but these will be given away to fans. You know what, Fred? I feel like we're calling this the fight flag.
I call it the victory tear time. Like when we get this victory, you wipe your tear, and then you get that thing, and you let them go right there, baby.
Yes, and as these go through the arena, it'll be burgundy and gold everywhere. And it means so much to us that you guys show so much love.
Yeah.
Logan, look at your ISO camera right there and talk to the fans on how much they mean to you and why they need to show up with these towels.
I mean, this is the first time we've been really good in a long time.
Yeah.
Let's get after it, man. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers. They always travel well. Let's make sure we show up and keep that home advantage and get loud and get rowdy and make sure that we get that dub up in the Fed House?
Let's protect our house. Like the one thing we haven't done this year, we don't know how it feels to lose at the Fed House. Let's keep it that way. A real home field advantage. Finally, and we know Pittsburgh fans live all around us. They don't need to get in their contact from Pittsburgh. They are all around here. Let's not let them infiltrate the Fed House. Not this weekend.
All I want to hear is left hand up. Who are we? The Commanders.
Yes, sir. And on that note, that is it for Command Center. Make sure y'all get y'all fight flags when y'all pull up to the game, and let's get this W over the Pittsburgh Steelers. For Command Center, I'm Brian Colbert Jr., Fred Smooth, Santana Moss, Logan Paulson. We out this thing.